We've looked at Mercury as just a scorching ball of rock, circling the sun without much to offer. But the truth is, this tiny, sizzling planet has been hiding secrets that'll blow your mind. Imagine finding water on the hottest planet, or learning that a day on Mercury lasts longer than its entire year. Oh, and that's just the start. The secrets of Mercury are stranger than science fiction, and we're about to unravel them, one wild fact at a time. For centuries, Mercury was an enigma. From Earth, we could barely make out its features, let alone understand what was really going on there. It wasn't until NASA's Mariner 10 took a daring flight by the planet in 1973 that we got our first peek. And what we saw was nothing short of stunning. Picture this: a landscape covered in craters and strange ridges, almost like it had been through a cosmic war. Not only that, but it had a surprisingly strong magnetic field, and a core that seemed way too big for its size. It was our first clue that Mercury was playing by its own set of rules. But wait, the plot thickens. Fast forward 31 years, and NASA sent the Messenger spacecraft to orbit Mercury. And this time, it wasn't just passing by, it was here to stay. Over its mission, Messenger took over 200,000 snapshots of the surface, revealing things we'd never imagined. First up, weirdly high levels of calcium and magnesium on the dark side of the planet. What in the world was that about? And then came a discovery that left scientists scratching their heads. Here's where things get really crazy. Mercury is the closest planet to the Sun, so you'd expect it to be hot, and it is. During the day, temperatures skyrocket to an insane 430 degrees Celsius, which is hotter than your kitchen oven at full blast. But here's the catch: at night, it cools down to a bone-chilling minus 180 degrees Celsius. How does this tiny planet have such extreme mood swings? The answer lies in Mercury's so-called exosphere, which is basically an almost non-existent atmosphere. You see, Mercury's exosphere can't trap heat like Earth's atmosphere does. It's like trying to stay warm under a blanket full of holes. So when the sun goes down, the heat just escapes into the frigid darkness of space. This temperature roller coaster creates some of the wildest and most extreme conditions in our entire solar system. But the surprises don't end there. Remember how we thought Mercury was a dead, lifeless rock? Well, it turns out we were wrong. NASA's Messenger revealed signs of volcanic activity. Imagine volcanic eruptions on a planet we assumed had cooled off billions of years ago. And then came the bombshell. In 2020, scientists found water ice in some of Mercury's polar craters. Yes, you heard that right. Water on the hottest planet in the solar system. How is that even possible? Here's the scoop. Mercury's poles have craters that are permanently shadowed. These spots never see the sun, so they remain freezing cold, allowing water ice to exist. It's a discovery that raises all kinds of exciting questions. Could there be tiny, extreme life forms, like the kind that live in Earth's most brutal environments, hiding in these icy traps? We don't know yet, but one thing's for sure: Mercury is far from the lifeless rock we thought it was. Now, let's take a mind-bending detour into Mercury's strange dance around the sun. Did you know that Mercury has a year that's shorter than its day? Yeah, it sounds like science fiction, but it's true. Here's how it works. Mercury zips around the sun in just 88 Earth days. But to complete one full rotation on its own axis takes a whopping 176 Earth days. So, by the time Mercury finishes one full spin, it's already halfway through its second lap around the sun. Imagine standing on Mercury's surface and watching this bizarre solar show. First, you'd see the sun rise and swell to an enormous size. Then, as if Mercury wanted to mess with your mind, the sun would stop, move backward, and then resume its original path. It's enough to give even the most seasoned time traveler a headache. So, why does Mercury spin so slowly while zooming around the sun? It's all thanks to a cosmic phenomenon called tidal locking. The sun's immense gravitational pull has been dragging on Mercury's spin for billions of years. But unlike our moon, which is fully locked to Earth and always shows the same face, Mercury is in something called a 3:2 spin orbit resonance. Translation: it spins 3 times for every 2 trips around the sun. This unique rhythm creates conditions on Mercury that are stranger than any science fiction novel. And just when you thought Mercury couldn't get any weirder, it flexes its magnetic field. You wouldn't expect a planet this small, with such a slow spin, to have a global magnetic field. Yet, somehow Mercury does. Scientists were stunned to find this out because, on planets like Earth, magnetic fields are usually generated by the swirling motion of liquid iron in their cores. But Mercury? It's way too small for that kind of action, right? Well, wrong. Mercury's magnetic field comes from a one-of-a-kind dynamo effect happening in its massive liquid core. The odd orbit and spin of Mercury play a key role here, creating a magnetic field that, while not as strong as Earth's, is still enough to shield the planet from the sun's brutal solar wind. If it weren't for this magnetic force field, Mercury's exosphere would be stripped away even faster, leaving the planet even more exposed to the sun's fury. And here's where things get even more curious. Mercury's magnetic field isn't centered. It's offset by about 20% of the planet's radius, almost as if Mercury itself couldn't decide where to place it. This odd arrangement could be due to the crust's varying thickness, messing with the heat flow from the core. It's just one more piece of the puzzle that makes Mercury the cosmic oddball we can't get enough of. Now let's talk about Mercury's hot poles. These are specific spots on the planet where, due to its weird rotation, the sun just stops and hangs in the sky, blasting heat for what feels like forever. Meanwhile, some areas near the poles never see sunlight. These perpetually shadowed craters are where we found that mind-blowing water ice. The conditions here are so extreme that scientists are buzzing with excitement, wondering if there might be even more surprises, like organic compounds, hidden in these shadowy traps. But what about Mercury's atmosphere? Or rather, the lack of one. Mercury's exosphere is incredibly thin and constantly leaks into space. Yet, somehow, it keeps getting replenished. How? It's a mix of solar wind, radioactive decay, and impacts from tiny meteoroids. And here's the kicker. Scientists recently discovered that there's way more water vapor in this exosphere than they expected. The solar wind smashes into Mercury's rocks, causing hydrogen to bond with oxygen, creating water vapor. It's almost like Mercury is a cosmic chemistry lab in action. Now, let's dive deeper, literally. One of the most puzzling things about Mercury is its enormous core. Dr. Nancy Chabot from Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Lab says that Mercury's core takes up a whopping 85% of its volume. Compare that to Earth, where the core is just 15% of the planet's volume, and you start to get an idea of just how strange Mercury really is. So, how did it end up with such a huge core? Here's a theory that might just explain it: the hit-and-run scenario. Dr. Eric Asfog from the University of Arizona suggests that Mercury was once a much larger planet. But then, early in the solar system's history, it got smacked by a massive object, stripping away most of its outer layers and leaving behind a planet with a disproportionately large core. And if that wasn't enough, Mercury has something that Venus and Mars don't: a magnetic field. It's only 1% as strong as Earth's, but hey, that's still pretty impressive for a planet that's barely rotating. Plus, it's not even centered on the planet. The field is offset, possibly due to variations in the planet's crust and mantle. This quirk might even explain why certain areas of Mercury have such extreme temperature fluctuations. Just when we think we've got Mercury figured out, we find something new. Recently, scientists discovered traces of an ancient magma ocean beneath the planet's surface. Imagine a time when Mercury was a hot, bubbling mess, with molten lava shaping its surface. It's like a planetary makeover that left behind smooth, open plains in the northern hemisphere, evidence of massive lava flows. And here's the latest twist. In 2022, researchers found nitrogen trapped beneath Mercury's surface. This nitrogen could be the last remnant of an ancient atmosphere, possibly shoved underground by Mercury's intense heat and relentless solar radiation. Does this mean Mercury was once more Earth-like? Could it have had weather, clouds, or even rain? These questions are just the tip of the iceberg, and every new discovery only deepens the mystery. So, what's next for Mercury? The Bepi-Colombo mission, arriving in 2025, will explore even more of this strange world, diving deep into its surface chemistry and geological history. Who knows what other wild secrets we might uncover? Could there be diamonds hidden beneath the surface? Could we find hints about the origins of life in its icy craters? One thing's for sure. Mercury may be the smallest planet in our solar system, but it's packing some of the biggest mysteries. And as we continue to explore, we're reminded that even our closest cosmic neighbors have secrets waiting to be discovered. If this cosmic adventure got you as excited as it did for us, smash that like button, subscribe, and join us for more mind-blowing space mysteries. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep looking up and dreaming big.